Am I gone live yet? Yes, I'm live. Yes, I'm live right now. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Woo! It looks so much brighter on the video. Just to let you know. Oh yeah, it's the reason it seems bright is because it's real dark outside. I mean, it's gonna be raining most of the morning. I don't think the rain's gonna let up until like 1 in the afternoon. I could probably take this off. As you can see. I've got a tank top on. It's a new one for me. It's about Saturday today. Yes. My new team, the Dutchland Derby Rollers, we've got not only one, but two bouts today. And I'm going to be working both parts. Originally, I was supposed to be skating in the second one, but you get suspended for 3 months for something, and then you decide to leave and you go to another team. And Dutchland told me basically, well, you haven't passed your 27.5 yet, you're not certified, so we can't let you skate. Okay, I get it. Yeah, no complaints. I even told him right off the bat, I said, just pull me from the damn thing. It's not a big deal, and it isn't. We'll see how things go. I said right now my goal is I'd like to sign up for Seasons Beatings at the beginning of December. And if that doesn't happen, I will play in the Battle of the Freshies next year. But yeah, this is an old tank top. See? Yeah, I bought this last year. Because I'm usually of the opinion that when you go to another team's bouts, and I've been to a few, you usually try to support them by getting their merchandise. And I do, unless, of course, they don't have anything in my size, which generally is what happens. You don't know how often I've went to some places and I'll go, do you have a tank top at 3X? No. Do you have it at 2X? No. And see, I like tank tops because I can skate in them. I don't usually get t-shirts, but I probably will. So today I actually have cash on me, and when I get to the bout, which I have to be there at like 4:15, and it's a double header, so we're probably not going to be done working until around 10:30 tonight. It's going to be a long afternoon and evening. Yeah, about 6 hours I'll be there. And I am taking my video and my camera just in case. I've told them a couple of times, I'm willing to film if you want me to film, but I don't know. So we'll see what happens. When I get there, I'll just tell them, say, hey, I brought my shit if you want me to film. If you don't, give me something to do, which they will. We were actually told we actually have about 30 people on the team, and there's between 8 and 10 people showing up regularly for our skater tot class, which is pretty good, relatively speaking. So, it shouldn't take us long to lay down the track and get everything set up. But once merch is set up, I'm going to be like, hey, if you got a tank top or a t-shirt I can wear, a tank top preferably, a new one. Because I'm always of the opinion when you're on a team and you're there representing the team, you should be at least in their colors of some sort. You should have like something on that says I'm with this team, and this will be my first time working with a new team. And I do know for a fact that there will be some people from Hard showing up today to watch the first bout, because it's weird. They're going to play Keystone Roller Derby, who play down in New Cumberland, just south of here. And I know the coach from Keystone. I could have actually went and gone and played for Keystone if I'd wanted to. I really could have. And I didn't. But I could have played for Keystone if I wanted. And they're going to be playing. This is their first ever bout. It is. It's their, I mean, legitimately, they've been working on this for about a year and a half, maybe closer to. It's their first ever bout. So they're going to be playing Dutchland. And that's why I said, it's like, I'm sure the coach, I know coach, they probably would like video of their first bout. So I'll be out there. I'll have my gear. I don't know if I'll get to use it. I'll do whatever the team tells me to do. If I'm the one walking around going, would you like to hear about Derby? Because you do have that. You'll have people walking around signs that says, ask me about Derby. Because some people show up and they have absolutely no idea what they're watching. Like me. Seriously. I mean, I understood the game a little bit when I first went out for it. I had absolutely no idea how it was played. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm in my colors. I'm all ready to go. I'm actually dressed. I mean, I've got on what I'm going to wear today. Leggings and a tank top and a sports bra. That's it. That's it, baby. I'm dressed. I'm not going out. I mean, I don't have to leave the house until about 3:30. So it's gonna be fun. It is gonna be a long day. It really is. But in a way, I'm looking forward to it. In a way, I know it's going to be kind of awkward because I'm going to see some of my old teammates there. In fact, I know two of my ex-teammates are actually playing in the mixer in the second game. So I'll see them. I'll be like, hey, how you guys doing? How come you're not playing? Because I'm not with Hard anymore. That's why. If I were with Hard, I'd be playing. Yeah, but I'm not. Like they told me there's other mixers. It's happening. Don't worry. You'll get there. So, yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It will be. It'll be interesting. It's, yeah. I'll be there. I'm there rooting for my team. I mean, I know, like I said, I know the coach from Keystone, but you got to root for your team. And the coach for Keystone, they tried to get her to come back to Hard. And she decided she would rather go to Keystone and coach there. And that's what ended up happening. And, congratulations to her, Condoleezza Slice, for getting that team about ready. Yeah. It's going to be a big deal for them. So, and maybe I get to play them next year. Hell, the way things go in Derby, maybe I'll be playing for them next year. You never can tell. I don't know. I probably could have went and played for them. I mean, if I had asked Conde, say, hey, can I come and play with you guys? She probably would have said yes without hesitation. But I didn't take that route. So I didn't take that route. Maybe I should have. Because I have a 75-mile round-trip drive to Lancaster and back on practice nights. Speaking of which, I have practice tomorrow morning at 10:30 on a Sunday. Yeah. And I will be there. I seriously will. Because this is how I am. I got to get better. My plows still suck. And I know why. I finally realized why. And part of it is because I'm doing them so wrong. I get up on my toes when I'm doing my plows, and you can't plow when you're on your toes. You need to sit back and do it. And for one reason or another, I'm having difficulty getting back on my heels. And I think it's just basically a mental thing. So I need to work on that. I need to really work on getting back on my heels. And once I do that, I think my plows will improve drastically. Because what's happening is, because I'm up on my toes, I can't turn my feet inward. I mean, I'm analyzing this on the drive back, and I'm going, that's your problem. Because you're always up on your toes. And when you're up on your toes, you can't turn your toes in, which is what you really need to do. So I need to get back on my heels and then turn my toes in, or push my heels out. And I'm not doing that. And I finally, I've only been struggling with this for a year. And I finally realized that just the other night, it's like, no, you're not on your heels. You're on your toes all the time. And I do tend to skate on my toes. So I think that's why when I do a one-footed plow, I'm better, because then I've got all my weight on my left leg and I'm pushing out with my right. And I tend to dig in the heel when I do that. So that's why my one-footed plows, even Ida, the last time I practiced with Ida, she says, you are definitely a fan of the one-footed plow. You're making it work. And I know that's why. It's because when I do that, I'm able to push out with my heel and get a better stop. Whereas when I'm doing it, traditional plow, I'm up on my toes and I can't do it. So this is my old coach Blade always used to say, you analyze everything. And she goes, I really love that you analyze everything and you figure out what's wrong. And that's what's wrong with me. Well, among other things. You got a lot of things wrong with me. But I have to show you something. Yeah, you're going to love this. Because Wednesday night, I have practice now. My practice nights are Wednesday and Thursday nights from 9 to 11. It makes for a long evening because I basically have to leave the house here about 7:45 to get to practice. It takes about 40 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic, to drive to Lancaster, and then we have to wait. I really could leave here at 8, but I have these issues where I'm so worried I'm going to be late all the time that I always leave like 10, 15 minutes early. So I don't mind waiting for 10 minutes to get into the rink. We're a little different in that we cannot get into the rink until 15 minutes before practice time. So there's no fucking around. You go in, you change, you get on the floor. And I'm used to that because I'm used to, like, when we used to go to York, Devour is like, practice starts at 8:30. You're on the floor at 8:30. There's no bullshit about it. So I used to do the same thing at Hard. I was like, when practice time is ready, I was like one of the ones standing there by the edge of the rink, waiting to go on to the floor. And it's like, it's time to work. So I'm usually pretty good at like getting all my shit together and getting out. But Wednesday night, for some reason, my skates slipped out from underneath me. And it happens every once in a while. Your skates just slip out, and I went down. And when I went down, there's a low wall all the way around the rink. I mean, they play a hockey in there, skate hockey. I think they actually play ice hockey in there too from time to time. Could be wrong. But anyway, I hit that wall on the way down. And one of our coaches that evening was Dash Ketchum, who also used to skate for Hard at one time. Yeah, everybody has skated for Harrisburg at one time. I swear to God, really. The number of people I know who have skated for them is just unbelievable. And she said, she left because she moved around the state a couple of times, because of work. So anyway, I hit the wall going down, and I got that. That is a derby kiss and a half. Both of these, this and this. This I don't know where, actually, that may have come from that, but yeah, look at that shit. Wow. And I did not realize I had that until yesterday. It happened Wednesday night. And I kind of noticed it Thursday because my shoulder was bothering me. Because when I went down, I'd like bang, and my shoulder hurt. I was like, God damn, why does my shoulder hurt so much? I think it's because you get immune to taking hits and stuff when you're in derby. And unless it's like something really, really hard, you just kind of blow it off after a while. And that's what I actually told someone. I said, I'm so used to taking hits in derby that you don't even think about it after a while. It's just like bang, bang, bang. It happens. And I normally don't get bruised, but I noticed yesterday, Thursday, my shoulder was hurting. And then yesterday I was like, wow, it's kind of tender down here on my arm. And let me take a look. Holy shit. Look at that. That's a derby kiss. Yeah, that is a legitimate derby kiss. Brought about by just slipping and hitting a wall on the way down. Seriously. The number of times I have been laid out on my butt from a hit, and I have never gotten a bruise that bad. The worst bruise I ever had was on my left thigh one time when our coach, Mexi Madhouse, when she was still coaching for Hart, she was going through it and she was doing hip checks on us, and she hit me hard. She came into me hard. I think it was like she knew which players she could hit like kind of hard, and which players she could hit a little hard, and which players she could hit really hard. And I was one of the ones she hit really hard, and she knocked me out of line, but I did not go down. And when I got home, I had a bruise on my thigh about this big. You can see how big that is in comparison to my face. You know, yeah, it was about this big. It took up like the whole lower part of my face. That's how big it was from where she hit me. And that bruise was there for like a week, you know. And I think it's more like if you go with the hit, you don't tend to get as bruised as much because, you know, the kinetic energy disperses. But if you're going against the hit, just like that. And yeah, there's trauma. There's damage to the skin, damage to the blood vessels below. You know, you get your little ruptured blood vessels. That's really what that is. It's a hematoma. I love showing this. This is my bruise. Derby players. You know, we just love our derby kisses. But it's kind of weird because, you know, even a couple of the tots were skater tots have even said stuff like that, like, how long have you been skating? Because you're really, really good. I'm like, I've been doing this for I've actually been really skating well for about a year. That's what I told him. I said, you know, first 3 months, it was kind of shit. I said, I've really been skating well for a little over a year now. Actually, it's closer to 6 months when it comes right down to it. I'm not going to lie. But one of the funny things was, it was like, okay, we're going to work on crossovers. We got to go out on the track because the vets Thursday night were actually doing other stuff. So every once in a while, they let us out on the track. You know, we get to go on the track. I love going on the track because it's just like, hey, I've done this before. Yeah. So we're working on crossovers. And everybody, you know, you're dealing with a lot of women who they've never been on skates before. So it's a little difficult. Everybody's in rental gear except for me because, you know, I've already bought all my shit. I've had it for months. So it was like, I get the coach her name is Deadpool. Yeah. And she's a big girl. She's like me. Her and I could probably hit each other pretty good. In fact, she gave me a hit. She was going by and she was giving people hits to see how stable they were. And I, you know, got ready and she positioned me just a little bit, brought my chest up. And she gave me a tap and I was like, you know, okay. And I barely moved. And she's like, oh, that's good. Yeah. I've taken some pretty big hits, bigger than that. Yeah. So anyway, it was like, all right, who wants to do their crossovers? And I was like, I'll do it. I go out and I got behind the jammer line and took off from a dead stop. And I'm still kind of getting used to the floor, but I've noticed that you can really lean in on the Dutchland floor. You can really lean in and get a great push off. I'm getting my left leg push offs done a lot better than I ever did at hard. And so I'm getting a lot of speed. And I went around the track, and I went around a second time. And I think the second lap where I was in a flying lap, I was probably under 12 seconds because I was moving pretty good. I had one bobble where I was coming into turn 3 and I hit a slick spot. The floor was crazy insane on Thursday night. The humidity was like drastically high. And you were hitting spots where it was real sticky and then it gets slick. I went to do a plow and my right foot almost went out from underneath me. And I even told Deadpool that. I says, this floor is fucking nuts tonight. I said, there's a slick spot over there that I hit. And she's like, yeah, I've noticed. She goes, the floor is either real sticky or it's real slick. And so, yeah, I hit that, but I stayed up and kept going. And once I was done, I realized, my second lap, my flying lap was probably under 12 seconds. I was moving really good. And for the first time, from the first lap, when I went into turn 1, when I started doing my crossovers, because normally I started at the jammer line and it's 30 feet to the pivot line, and turn 1 starts right after that. So it took like 3 pushes to get up to that point, and then I started doing crossovers. I did crossovers all the way around the track for both laps. And that's something I've never done before. Really, not at speed. I've done it. We had a drill one night at Hart where it was like, do crossovers and do it in 5 strides. And what they mean by a stride is like push off, push off. That's a stride. And so I was kind of like exaggerating my motions to do it and going around the track like that. But this was the first time I was literally moving at speed and doing good speed. And I was crossing over the whole time, which I've never done before. And it just felt really seamless. And I think I was taking between 5 and 6 strides on the second lap. I didn't count it. I wish I had, but I'm sitting there trying to think about it, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was actually 5 strides on the second lap. I took, might have been 6, but still, that's good. That's what you want. I had a friend of mine who's actually going to be NSOing tonight, and she said when she did her 27.5, it took her 8. She would use 8 strides going around the track. I did mine in like 5 or 6, which means I'm getting a great push off every time because I'm traveling that far. And I remember I was on the far side of the track going around, and it's harder to see the outline of our track because it's done in orange. And I looked down and I realized I was about a foot to the outside of the track because my speed propelled me, not because I went there, but because my speed actually propelled me to that point. I was like really impressed. After it was done, I was like, wow, I can feel I'm getting that toe flick at the back, really pushing off. So I'm getting much better on that track. Tomorrow they said, a lot of the vets don't show up for Sunday practice, so we may get the track for most of the day, which would be really nice. We'll get to work on that. But yeah, I was impressed with myself, and I also didn't feel that tired. And it was one of the things that DP said. She goes, if you're doing crossovers the entire time, you really don't get as tired because you're getting up to speed and you're keeping that speed. And it was true. I mean, it was only 2 laps. I'd like to see how I do for 5. But I felt really good. And Wednesday night, I died. I was not properly hydrated. Again, they call our rink the Dutch oven for a reason because it's hotter than hell in here. And Thursday night was just crazy humidity. But I drank 80 ounces of water before I went to practice. I probably won't be able to do that tomorrow, but I'm going to drink at least like 60 before I leave here. In fact, probably what I'll end up doing is I'll drink 20 here, 20, I'll drink 40 here, 20 on the way. Because in order to be there at 10:30, I've got to leave here at like 9:30 in the morning. Which means I probably will not drink coffee because coffee dehydrates you. And then get down there and I'll refill the one canteen I'll drink on the way down. So I'll have 60 ounces there. And generally speaking, when they give us a water break, I down almost the entire 20 ounces. I mean, that's how thirsty you are at that point. So I didn't feel bad Thursday. I also had a meal that was like really heavy in protein. I mean, a lot of protein. So I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I may actually stop off and have breakfast. And my traditional morning breakfast like that is usually like steak and eggs. Protein, carbohydrates. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll do that. Usually like a Bob Evans or a Denny's. It's a good place to get steak and eggs. So that's been my practice. That's been my derby stuff. Feeling really good. I do. And I needed to feel good this week because I spent $1,400 I really didn't have. My car, Sunday night, the check engine light came on again. It's been 3 years. I hadn't had that problem. And actually did. During the winter, one of my valves got stuck and it caused the check engine light to come on. They reset it. But this time I went in and it was like, your catalytic converter is bad, which really kind of pissed me off because I just bought a new catalytic converter like 3.5 years ago. And they're saying, well, it's aftermarket. It probably was not a good catalytic converter. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. So not only that, but I needed new back brakes and I needed a sway bar in the front fixed. And they cut me like $400 in discounts, which was good because I didn't have $1,800. I didn't. I barely had 14. Kind of maxed out one of my cards, one of my remaining cards to cover that. So my car was in the shop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I picked it up Thursday morning. And I had a loaner. And I had a Honda HR-V that was just like, it's brand new. It was all tricked out. It only had 2,600 miles on it. Oh, man, did I fall in love with that car. Oh, keyless entry. And there's no Wi-Fi in it, but it had Bluetooth. So I Bluetooth it to my phone and play my YouTube tracks off the phone. And on the car sound system, it was like, oh my God, this sounds so good. It does. It sounds excellent. Excellente. I fell in love with it. I love the fact it was keyless entry. I love the fact that, you didn't have to put a key in the ignition or anything. You just pressed the button and the car started up. It was nice. I decided if I ever can afford a new car, I'm getting an HR-V. It was just a beautiful car. I don't need a CR-V. HR-V is great. And the thing was getting fantastic gas mileage. They actually have a little meter in there. When you put it on economy mode, it has a little meter that tells you what your gas mileage is doing. And you can actually, one of the things you can do is cycle it over to tell you exactly, your average. And I'm watching it, and a lot of times I was up around 30, 35 miles to the gallon. But when you're coasting, when you're going on flat pavement, even at like 70 miles an hour, you're still averaging around 45 miles to the gallon. As long as the pavement's flat, the minute you start going up and down the hills, the engine has to kick in a little harder. And I noticed looking at the tachometer, the engine does not work as hard. So I think, it's just a lot of it. It's different gearing in the transmission and everything else. It was really beautiful. So if I get a new car, that's my new car, the HR-V. It's sort of like a cross between a Salon or like a Honda Accord and the CRV. So you can like put down the back seats and you've got room in the back, like CRV room almost. But if you put the seats up, you've still got considerable amount of room in the back. It's like trunk size. It's just that it's a hatchback. I really loved it. Yeah, I loved having to, I had the touch screen. I can see what they're saying about you have to take your eyes off the road to do shit on the touch screen. Because in my car, if I want to turn up the sound, I just would reach over and flip the knob and you don't have to take your eyes off the road. Nowadays, you got to hit the screen and then run the volume control up with your finger. So you kind of like take your eyes off the road just a little bit. I made certain that when I was driving, I got the sound right about where I wanted it, not too loud, not too soft, and just left it and drove, just didn't screw with it. And I found that was best. And I accidentally turned on the direction finder at one point, and you will continue going straight. And it's just like, I don't need this shit. I know where I'm going. So I figured out how to turn it off. But it was kind of fun to use it for a while. It was a lot of fun. It was a great car. Honda HR-V. I highly recommend it. Got to drive it for 3 nights and part of 3 days. Really about 3 days and 3 nighs. Drove it to Lancaster for Wednesday night practice, and it was just a beautiful car. Climate control. It even had heated seats. Yeah, it had heated seats. Not that I needed them. I just kept the climate control on 70 degrees and kept the fan at like a medium, and it stayed nice in there the entire time. And which was really great because when I came back Wednesday night, I was sweaty as shit and dying. And it's just like, this is so nice. Yeah. I didn't even realize coming back, I was coming back with the running lights on at night the whole way. I did not have the headlights fully turned on, and it was still bright enough I could see where I was going, which goes to show you how insanely bright these headlamps are in cars nowadays. I mean, really, you turned it on to what they called auto. And I didn't realize it till later. It was really like the running lights. It was like the running headlights. Shit that you turn on during the day. And it was still so bright I could see where I was going. So it might have also had a sensor where if you left it on auto, you had running lights during the day and then they brightened at night. I didn't double check. And I didn't read the user's manual either, which I should have done. But I really enjoyed it. I really love that car. I actually did some writing as well. Yeah. Added some more to Carrie and Victor's Little Adventure. I'm slowly going through that. But one of the things I've been doing is re-editing one of my old novels. Something I wrote back in 2012, which was actually a rewrite of something I wrote in the early 90s. Yeah. Diners at the Memory Inn, which was sort of a rewrite. It's from, my first great, probably will never be published novel, Transporting. And it takes place in that universe. So it's like actually like one of the very next stories after what ended up happening in the novel. Actually, about a year later, there is another story that I had wanted to do called Road Trip. And that's basically what it was. It was after, like a few months after the events that transpired in Transporting. The events that happened at the very, very end, where Albert and Cytherea basically go on a road trip. And it's Albert's idea. He's like, let's take a road trip. And Cytherea is like, what are you talking about? Because in that future, I mean, it's the 32nd century. While they have roads as part of an infrastructure, a lot of people use what they call transoms, which basically set up a portal between point A and point B, and you just walk through it. So a lot of people get around doing that, or they used, flying vehicles. There are like flying taxi cabs and shit like that. And Albert's like, let's just get a ground vehicle and go on a road trip. And that's exactly what they do. And since he knows how to drive, he manages to rent a ground car, really nice ground car. And of course, it's like, he doesn't even have to put his hands on the wheel for the most part. He just kind of like sits there waiting for shit to happen, to take control. And they're on an expressway. The one scene, they're actually on an expressway. It's like 3 lanes wide on each side. And there is some transportation that is done for it. They usually will move like stuff that's considered completely non-essential in like massive land trucks, like what you have in Australia, where there are 3 big, huge trailers in a row hauling shit. But they're all automated. That's it. You just plug in the destination and they all have like a little AI in them and it drives them. That's it. And they're run off of electricity and hydrogen fuel and things of that nature. So, they're actually like one of the few cars on the road that actually have passengers, because most people just don't drive anymore. They don't need to. And even Cytherea at first is like, why are we doing this? And he's like, I've never actually seen a fucking planet. This is our chance to see like scenery. And they end up going to a lot of different places. And when it's all said and done, they get to a point where it's like, we could keep going for another week, or we could go home. And they're sort of like at a crossroad, a T intersection on the edge of the ocean. And it's like, if we go to the left, there's a great restaurant about an hour down the coast. If we go to the right, we're home in about 2.5 hours. And they both kind of agree that the last week has been really fantastic, but it's time to go home. Because they're both rested and they're renewed and they're ready to go. And it's like, adios. And Albert actually at that point turns the auto system off and said, I'm driving home. And he puts it into what they call avoidance mode, so that if something were to happen, the computer could instantly take over and do whatever needed to be done with the car. But he actually drives the car back. And, it's like the first time in a long time he's actually been at the controls of a car driving it. That was actually going to be the second story, but Diners at the Memory ended up in editing it. And part of the reason is, if you've noticed, and I sent out a message on Monday night, I now have a coffee account. I decided I needed a coffee. So far, I've had a couple of contributions. Yeah, nothing major. But one of the things I'm thinking of doing is offering content through coffee. And one of the things I might end up doing is offering content from this novel and setting a goal of saying, I'm going to need some money to create a cover for this. And offer content of the novel for people who, are willing to pony up a few shekels to see it, Yeah. Yeah, my finances are not the greatest right now. And I've been getting more calls about jobs. In fact, the funny thing is, I actually had a call from another headhunter, and he's like, I've got this business analyst position in Sunbury. And I was like, oh, it's for Wise Foods, isn't it? And they go, yeah, why? And I said, I interviewed with them about a month ago, and they didn't want me. And I said, obviously, I told the guy why. I said, here's the explanation he gave me. And I said, obviously, they can't find that perfect person that they're looking for, which leads me to believe that maybe they're not really that serious. And I said, let's face it, there aren't many people in this area that can do what I do. So I said, I'd be interested in going back and talking to them. But I go, they're probably not going to want to talk to me. And I had a couple of my friends said, hey, if they passed on you the first time, don't bother. You know, it's just kind of bullshit. But the reality is that's how I got out here to Pennsylvania. Because when I first interviewed for the job at the Commonwealth, I was passed on. In fact, it came down to me and another person. I found this out. It came down to me and another person, and they picked the other person because they live locally here. So what happens? 2 weeks later, I get a call from the same headhunter, and he's like, are you still interested in that job in Pennsylvania? And I go, yeah, why? And I go, well, the guy they hired bailed out. What had ended up happening was he took the job in Harrisburg, had 2 weeks to start. But at the same time, he was looking at another job in Philadelphia, and the job in Philadelphia offered him, from what I understand, a hell of a lot more money. And he took that job. So since I was the next in line, they contacted me and they said, are you interested in the job? And I said, yeah, I'll take the job. And they're like, how soon can you get out here? And I said, I can be there next week. I'll be there next Monday. They called me on it was late Monday. It was, no, not late. It was early Monday morning. And they were like, I can be there next Monday. And they're like, can't you get here sooner? I says, look, I got to get a room. I got to get my shit packed. You know, I said, I will be there next Monday. I said, I'm going to have to take care of a few things on this end before I can just up and take off. So they told them I would be there the following Monday, and I was. And for 4.5 years, I was there. Then they got rid of me. State did. But honestly, with that job, I never really talked about it much, but for like the last year I was there, all of 2017, I was in the process of thinking about leaving, which I didn't. That was the same thing I did with Solaire Corporation. I thought about leaving for like a couple of years and I didn't. I got laid off. And this was, again, one of those where I was thinking about leaving and I didn't. And I didn't trust my gut instinct, which was to leave. So kids, if you're listening and you get that gut instinct that it's time for you to leave your job, follow it. Otherwise, same thing will happen to you that happened to me. You don't want that. Yeah, if you get the gut instinct that says, maybe I should start looking for another job, maybe I should move on, trust your gut instinct, because 95% of the time, yeah, it's right. The job isn't working out for you and it's time to move on. And I didn't do that. Nope, I didn't. That's like I say, sometimes you can be the dumbest smart person in the world. I've got a genius IQ. I've got an IQ of around 150. I know that for a fact. And I can do some of the dumbest shit in the world. So yeah, I have my Ko-fi account. I'm thinking of upgrading. It's like $6 a month, which I really don't have, but it's like $6 a month for gold, and I could put out content that people would have to pay to actually see. And I'm beginning to wonder if a lot of people would actually do that. If you've noticed, I've stopped putting content out on my blog. In fact, I don't blog that much anymore. I just really don't have that much to say any longer. And when I do blog, I do tend to put out videos, which I actually prefer doing. I find it's easier to connect with people this way, but a lot of people don't click on the videos. I've noticed that because I can actually see how many people are viewing the videos, and not a lot of people do. Might get like maybe a dozen. I've got like 3,000 followers and maybe a dozen people watch my videos. That seems to be about right for the internet. It's like I've got 932 followers on Facebook, and there's probably 24 people I interact with on a weekly basis. Yeah. And maybe 8, 9 that I actually hear from on a daily basis. So such is the way of the internet. So yeah, I'm going to be making plans on that. Like I said, I was planning on doing a Patreon, but I could do the same thing through Ko-fi. But if you'd like to shoot me like a couple of bucks, yeah, to help me defer my $1,400 auto bill and help keep Cassidy afloat, I would appreciate it. If not, I understand. But it's only like $3 a month. Please. $3 a month. Any of you to stop into Starbucks and get your double mocha cappuccino, you spent more than $3 on that cup of coffee. Especially if you get a Frappuccino, which is nothing but a 2,000-calorie milkshake. As I heard it described one time, it's a 2,000-calorie milkshake. Yeah. Annie loves Frappuccinos. We know that, especially if Carrie's buying. Maybe that's how she knows it's love. You bought my Frappuccino. So yeah, that's been my week. So you get to hear about my week. Aren't you lucky? Aren't you the lucky ones? So I'm being goofy now. So yeah, I'm going to have a long, busy day today. It's almost 9 o'clock, which means in 6 hours, I'm going to be going to about a boot. Or I wonder if they say in Canada, we're going to play at the boot. The boot. See, boat is boot. So I wonder how they say boat. We're going to the boot. And I've never played with anyone from Canada yet. One of these days I'll go to one of Miracle Whip's like things that she does. I can't think of the word now. Miracle Whip, she plays for Team Canada. She plays for a team up in Canada. And I'll ask her, say, when you guys hit somebody out, do you stop and go, oh, I'm sorry, hey, but I'm going to have to run you back. Oh, I'm really sorry I had to run you back. I don't think so, because Team Canada during the 2017 World Cup in England this last February was one half of the biggest derby blowout ever. Team Canada played Team Greece, and the final score was Greece 9. Yeah. Greece 9. They scored in 1 hour's time 9 points. Team Canada 795. I mean, oh my God, talk about no slaughter rule. And to heap up the misery, to like really turn on the pain, so to speak, in the very last jam, because you can see the points. They always display how many points the jammer gets per jam. And when they showed the final score, they still have the points up from the final jam. And in the very last jam, the Canadian jammer, Shania Payne, that's her derby name, she scored 50 points. She ran the fucking score up from 745 to 795 in the last 2 minutes. I mean, come on. Talk about insult to injury. Jesus. Oh, they're losing by so yeah. We got 749 points on the board. We got 745 points on the board. Let's see if we can run it up a bit, eh? 50 points. That is like almost the record. I mean, I think I'd have to look it up. I think it's like 56 points is the most scored in a jam. That's a lot of points. And even I told it to one person, they were like, did Greece even bother fielding any blockers? I don't really know the situation, but it was such a horrible blowout. One of these days, I know the video is out there of that bout. One of these days, I gotta watch it just to see how painful it is. Yeah, 795-9. Yeah, thanks, Canada. Oh, we really hated running up the score on you like that, eh? But we're not always nice. Sorry. Oh, man. Oh, you Canadians. I love you. I have a lot of friends who are Canadian. But man, that's a killer score. When I first saw that, I was like, holy shit. You got to be kidding me. They just killed them. I mean, and you figured 9 points in 60 minutes time. You are basically scoring. Jesus. It's like you're scoring a point once every 6 2/3 minutes in a derby bout. Oh, wow. That means on average you scored 4 points in one half and 5 points in the other. That, I mean, oh my God. That's horrible. I felt sorry for the team Greece. I really did. But I gotta watch that video. I gotta watch that bout because it had to just be murder. Oh, man. Anyway, I've rambled on too much. You've gotten your derby fill. You've gotten your writing fill. Look up Cassidy's Corner on Ko-fi. Drop me a couple of bucks. I can use coffee anytime. I'll put it in my cup here. I will thank you personally every time somebody sends me coffee. I give you thanks. And if somebody gives me a lot of coffee, I may just say something on the video. So, okay, take care. Bye.